Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, April 21st, 2025. Happy Easter Monday to you all. So, definitely under the weather, but bear with me as I go through the recap for today. So, we start off with Philip, who is telling Belle that, look, this case that you helped me, win and got, portion of the Titan inheritance, it was all based on a fraudulent lie. Vivian helped me forge a letter that said that I'm entitled to half of the inheritance, right? So she's like, why would you do that? Like, what predicament this, have me in? Because, like, I can get debarred and all of that. So he's like, listen, I didn't tell Xander um that you knew or anything like that, because you didn't. So if anything, I'm gonna make sure that you stay out of this, because this has nothing to do with you. It's all on me. So I'm even protecting the other people that were involved in this, that had to cover for me. So she's like who? So it's like, it's best you don't know about this. So it's like, I'm gonna make sure that you don't get debarred and all of that. So she's like, you better. So it's like, I know you probably hate me. So she's like, no, I don't hate you. I don't like what you did, but I'd be a big hypocrite if I chastise you, because I, covered for somebody who did way worse crimes. So she started to talk to him about EJ and how she EJ, or even though they're complicated, she can't seem to walk away from the feelings she had. And Brady's saying that if she can still care about a bad person, it still wouldn't make her bad. So she's just really grappling with just her feelings for him, and whether or not to just, walk away from them. So Philip understands that, and he's here for it anyways, and he gets it. So, anyways, Stephanie and Alex, they're just there. Alex is talking to his father. I guess some theater tickets for the Notebook. So, he can't make it. So he's just saying, him and Stephanie can get a ticket. So they go over to the house, right? So, Xander and Sarah was there. Sarah, as usual, looking guilty as ever, and I'm just over it at this point. And Sarah is saying that, you and Victoria are everything to me, and, we'll get through this. And I'm saying, Sarah, you're just such a coward, because you could have easily told your husband a long time, even at this moment, that you had something to do with covering up this big lie. And you just stood there, and it just really just upsets me a lot. But anyways, Philip, Alex and Stephanie come in because they're there to collect, his father's ticket. And Xander's like, what are you guys doing here? So it's like, Alex said that we're there to collect some theater tickets. So Xander tells him what exactly happened earlier with Philip, telling him a lie, and just everything was all a lie. So, he's there angry about it all, and Sarah's just standing there like this, I don't even know what to say, a deer caught in headlights. And Xander is saying, wait a minute, you guys knew already? So Stephanie and Alex kind of come half clean, because they didn't tell him that Sarah was the one who, forced them to be quiet about it. So they had to spin it around to protect her, which I really don't understand. But anyways, Stephanie says to Xander that she didn't know at first, but then she overheard Philip talking on the phone, and she ended things with him right then and there. And she didn't want to upset Xander, right? So that's why she had to cover it. And he's like, I was there with you when you got through with the letter with Teresa Forge. Like, how could you do this to me? And I gave you a job here. So he's like, I was trying to look out for the family, and Titan just took over the mirror, so I didn't want to mess up things, create more friction, right? So it's like, regardless, y'all should have told me, right? I just can't believe that y'all would do this to me. So, anyways, he's just upset with them, and he had to do damage control with Shin. And now he still has to work alongside Philip, to save face, so that the Demirs don't smell that out and try to take over back their company, right? So, Philip and Alex and Stephanie go home, because they didn't get to go to the theater thing, and that was it. So Susan is back in town, and I really don't care for her character, because she's very annoying to me. But some people care for her. She's there to support her son, and She's trying to figure out who would kill him, try to kill him. So she's doing her psychic thing again, trying to connect with him and see if, she can figure out who that is, right? So Roman comes over to pay a visit to Kayla, and he's telling her, asking her about how EJ is doing. He is the father of two of his grandchildren, and Sydney's worried about him, and he's talking about how Johnny's feeling. Which is a really poor excuse because he just really want to know if EJ's gonna survive or not, considering he may have played a part in that shooting. So, anyways, Kayla said that, I'm not at liberty to discuss that with you, right? You're not next of kin. But what I can tell you is that patients that are in a coma, they do have a chance of waking up from that. So, of course, Roman is kind of feeling guilty and all of that, right? So he's like, you know, is there a lot of people? There's not a lot of people that care for him at all. There's probably two people that really care about EJ. So she's like, one of them is right there at his bedside, and that's Susan Banks. So maybe she can have a premonition to see who shot him. So Roman is skeptical about that, but either way, she says she has to check on her patients because at the end of the day, she has a job to do and she cares about her patients, right? So Roman leaves. So Kay had a talk with Rex, who was at a dinner with Bonnie, and he was talking about sharing, Emily's picture, his daughter Emily's picture, and Kate was like, it's crazy that I'm the other grandmother. I didn't get none of that. I mean, are you still holding a torch against me for what you think maybe it has something to do with EJ shooting, which I told you I did not? And he's like, it's not like that. I'm just really worried because, you'll do anything to protect your kids. And, she said, yes, that might be so, but I didn't do it, right? I have a gun and I'm legally able to carry it. I have a permit, but it doesn't mean I did anything with that, right? So, he's still kind of hesitant, but he's gonna agree to drop it for now because what can he really do, right? So anyways, he's talking about suspecting both of his parents. He's thinking that his dad has something to do with it as well, and she's like, do you hear yourself? Like, he doesn't need to hear about us. So Roman comes over and is like, what is going on? So anyways, they talk about Rex leaving, and she inserted herself so that Rex does not tell Roman his suspicions about him shooting EJ possibly. So anyways, Roman goes for the suitcase, and Kate said, I had to intervene because I didn't want you to upset him, right? So he's like, okay, I'll drop it for now. And that's when Rex and Roman leave. So Kayla comes over to check in on EJ. And, at that point, Susan was having this premonition, trying to see who would shot her son. And, Kayla walks into it. And, of course, that interrupts that. And she's upset about that. So she's like, sorry, but I had to check on him. So she said when she come in, he was very agitated. But when she put her hand on his forehead, he calmed down. So, anyways, Kayla's asking her if, they could potentially bring him out of the coma. And she's like, I'm ready for that. So she was there, and it was like kind of stupid but hilarious. She was snapping her fingers to wake him up, but she said it doesn't work like that. So she's like, Marlena does that with her patients, this hypnosis thing. So Kayla's saying that it doesn't happen like that. And this is a totally different situation. So anyway, she said that it would take time. They have to wean off the medications off of him and all that. So she's asking for Susan's consent on that. Since she's the next of kin. So she said, let me think about it. Go ahead with it. So, yeah. So Philip comes over to his mom to really discuss what happened. And she tells him that, she was asking him why he couldn't see his brother off. And he said, I got preoccupied, a lot going on. And, Vivian toes under everything. So now I'm not sure if I have any, entitlement to the company or inheritance or anything like that. So she's like, does Xander know? So he's like, yeah. And he was ballistic and he threw me out of the house, and I can't blame him for that, right? So I really messed up everything, the relationship with my brother and all that. So she's like, I'm sorry that this happened to you. We have to do some damage control. So it's like, no, there's no sense in that, right? So anyways, she can't believe that Vivian would do that, cut herself out of the money. So it's like, yeah, she said it was more about the self-respect than the money to her, and that's why she did that. So at this point, she said, maybe, why would she do that, knowing that she could go back to prison? And he's like, I don't think Xander's going to press anything against her since it's really about me. So right now, I could be in a lot of trouble, right? So he's sorry that he roped his mom into it. But she said, listen, I still think you're entitled to a portion of it. And don't blame yourself for, like, don't blame us, beat up yourself, right? So I'm saying, kid, yes, she's a ride or die for her kids, but she needs to make sure that they always be accountable. And Philip was definitely the opposite of that. He held his own, and that's why I feel a little bit sorry for him. So Belle comes over, to check in on EJ, and Kayla and Susan were there, and she overheard them talking about EJ coming out of the coma possibly, and she's saying, is that even possible? So she said, yeah, we just have to sit and wait. So anyways, she leaves, and Susan and Belle get to talking. So she was asking her, how is EJ doing? So she said, he's there, he's doing well, but I can see that you really care about him and all that. So she's like, me and EJ knew each other for a long time. So she's like, come on now, I can see that you really care for him deeply. You might have, you probably love him. So she's like, yeah, you're right. So she's like, come on, let him hear that. That will probably help him to wake up. So she hold his hand, and she said, EJ, I love you. So that's what the monitor started beeping, or his eyes start fluttering, and Susan is getting excited. They're both excited. So it looks like EJ's waking up, but I'm wondering if he's gonna remember who shot him. So that's the $1 million question right there. But that is it for today's episode, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow.